Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review of SteamWorld Dig. Yep, a little bit out of season, a bit strange, and I'm going to push it out as quick as I can because I believe this is on a bit of a deep sale, not for much longer. It's going for like $1 or $2. But having said that anyway, at full price, what, 15 bucks, something like that on Steam, it's still worth every cent. This game is kind of evergreen. I played it when it came out way back in the day, but it's now 11 years later and I've clocked it in the last couple of days. It took me about 5 hours, just over. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. The whole SteamWorld franchise is really quite cool. And this is kind of where it all started. I think there's another one before this on mobile or something like that, but SteamWorld Dig is where it kicked off. Being made by, Image and Form Games, and they pretty much made a whole bunch of them until they merged and they, turned into like Thunderful, which is then turned into a publishing brand, and they're still doing SteamWorld games. In fact, we reviewed SteamWorld Build, pretty cool light anno type game. I really enjoyed that for what it was. And then SteamWorld Heist 2 actually came out recently, which we did a bit of an overview on. So they're still going strong. The series is great, and I would recommend checking it out, but this is a great place to dip your toes and get started. Anyway, look, what is SteamWorld Dig? Well, it's thematically, it's this sort of robot world where, humans are kind of the mythological creatures, flip it on their head. So you're these sentient robots. In this case, it's kind of Wild West, and you have that theme carry through for a lot of the games. However, they stray from the path a little bit. Like in Heist, you sort of space pirates, but it still kind of does have that Western outlaw vibe to it. And all of the aesthetics there, all your dudes wearing cowboy hats, you've got a little starting town, which is like got a saloon and all that. It's very Western frontier. And you've got all the twangy cowboy music and, all of it is just great. You can hear the grin on my face. The aesthetic is wonderful. But ultimately, you're this prospector dude, Rusty. You've come to town because you've, got a fairly thin carrot on the stick. Your uncle's sent a letter and you've rocked up basically to see what's going on with him. And as far as like a core mechanic goes, you essentially go down a hole in the middle of the town into a mine shaft and you dig away, looking for resources. You fill up your little inventory. It starts like only a couple of slots and you can sort of stack certain minerals. You bring them back up to the top, you sell them to the local chick and she'll turn it into money, and then you use that with the different shops to buy fairly meat and potatoes upgrades. There's another currency besides money, which is like orbs. Between the two currencies, you sort of creep up all of your items across the board. A good example is your main sort of pickaxe, which punches through walls. At a certain depth, the rock is going to get kind of denser, and the strength of the axe is now going to take a couple more swings. So you're perpetually upgrading. You probably upgrade it 10 times or something like that. It's pretty wild. Which I guess would act as a pretty cool throttling mechanic. Say you were speed running it or just trying to skip past everything, you would have to engage with the mechanics to actually dig deeper and deeper. And so there's multiple biomes, multiple shop dudes. Again, story-wise, it's a little thin. They've got some world-building lore kind of stuff. I think it's all very cute, but that's not what it hangs its hat on. It's more about coming up with your own idiosyncratic system for how you're going to dig out the mine. Like in this particular playthrough, I kind of went down the two sides of the map, left and right, and then would go back, and you can have like a little sort of indicator on the map screen when the density changes, so you can sort of use that as a yard post and go back and try and scrub more thoroughly for resources that you might have missed. And then as you go down, it's not just different densities of rock, you'll have different types of rock, and then you'll unlock different tools. There'll be these sort of little mini dungeon puzzle challenge rooms, but they are part of the progression. So you make your way through them, and they work as one of those sort of tutorials without overtly being a tutorial, platforming away, that sort of thing, and then it'll give you an upgrade. Maybe it's a double jump, maybe it's a drill that can drill through the harder stone, but it uses water because it's steam powered, and then you'll be you have to dip your dude into these little water pools to absorb water. It works as like an ammo. All sorts of different monster types coming through. So yeah, it's very much a modernization of like Dig Dug, and it works incredibly well. I believe SteamWorld Dig 2 just builds on all of these mechanics as a true sequel, and I think I played some of it back on the Switch. I might have to actually pick it up on Steam and check it out. But yeah, like I said, there are a couple of other SteamWorld spin-offs. There's SteamWorld Quest, actually, which I totally skipped over, which is more of a medieval party-based kind of RPG game. That's probably the one I've spent the least amount of time with, but Heist has a sequel now, and that's a party-based, turn-based, bullet deflection type thing. Anyway, there's a whole lot of cool stuff in the series worth checking out. And it's cool because I can't really think off the top of my head any sort of prolific modern franchises that kind of do the same thing. They have a world tying them together, but lots of different games still developed, well, for the most part by the same people. I'm pretty sure SteamWorld Build was a different unit within Thunderful. But it's kind of cool that they're all tied together by theme, so there's sort of a cohesion between games, and yet they jump genres. Sometimes you see this behavior in things like an actual publisher, like 11-bit comes to mind. 11-bit likes to develop lots of different games and not really do sequels with the same internal team, well, apart from Frostpunk 2 now. But yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of another franchise that really does this, and not like this has. It's released, you know, as many games as there is years probably, or thereabouts, and it's only been doing this for 10 years. Anyway, it's a really good game. This video doesn't actually have to go on terribly long because I've covered my points. It's short, it's punchy, it's not very expensive, but it's clean, man. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It culminates in a big boss fight, which isn't too brutal, and it keeps you honest. You know, I must have died a half a dozen times or something like that by the end of it. So it sort of ratchets up. Anyway, again, very well paced. And as someone who's like a pretty big advocate of, I don't necessarily want my time wasted, I stray further away from the, you know, people need X hours to justify it. To a certain point, if a game's asking for X money, I kind of expect a bit better of a value exchange. But there is something to be said about a game that takes an appropriate bite of the pie. This doesn't have to be 100 hours, and if it was, it would be crap and bloated. It's kind of perfect the way it is, the size it is, the price it is. So yeah, praises sung, very high, big fan, no need to waffle beyond that. If you missed the sale, apologies, I only just really noticed it. It's actually coincidence, I just randomly decided to play this and it's on deep sale. But at the same time, it's worth every cent. Buy it at full price, buy it and gift it to a mate. Anyway team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.